Satnam. Today we're going to talk about the root of all muscular intelligence. This muscular intelligence is known as Mool Bandh. And mula means root, and bandha means gate or lock. What we're going to learn is how to engage the pelvic floor and the navel together to create a stable foundation on which to use for any posture, whether sitting or standing or back bending or twisting. But before we begin to apply it to postures, we need to apply it to something simple as sitting. First thing is to understand that using the navel point, which is approximately on most people about 1.5 inches below the belly button, and we use that together with the muscles of the anus and sex organ. We work with them together in order to raise the pelvic floor up with the navel to connect to the floor and to give support to the sternum and the heart center. And we can use this Mool Bandh in dynamic ways. Sometimes we'll use it at the end of an exercise when holding our breath, and then we'll engage and squeeze very tightly. Other times, just as I'm sitting, I'm using a very small amount of this navel pelvic floor tension in order to keep myself sitting upright. Because if I release all the tension here, the tendency is to roll off those sits bones. Applying a relatively small amount in the right place, I can secure a connection to the floor through these sit bones, and then through that align my sternum, and then ultimately even the head will float in the right position through the use of the root lock, Mool Bandh. Mool Bandh is a very sophisticated thing, but for our purpose at this point, we just want to get an understanding how to use it to connect to the ground and give support to the heart center above that. Even in simple movements like spinal flexors, we can use the power of the Mool Bandh to root down and rise up, engaging the pelvic floor, rooting down with the inhale, rising up on the sit bones, and using the internal muscles to do this. Then on the exhale, smoothly with the breath guiding yourself off. So learning to actually feel the internal muscles work. Another really important use for the power of Mool Bandh is in back bends. So we're going to take advantage of this opportunity. We'll do a fairly common back bend that many of us have experienced already in the practice of Kundalini Yoga. And this is called camel pose, also known as Utstrasana. So I'm going to come up in this position. By using the power of the Mool Bandh, we can engage the navel and the pelvis so that we can push through our legs into the tops of our feet. And this downward push, using this power, which does two things. It connects us to the ground, but it also protects our lower back from becoming unnecessarily compressed. It draws down this way, then up. And then this downward pressure allows our upper body to relax in a safe fashion. So what you may not see is how much of this Mool Bandh energy I'm using in order to keep lifting the chest up. And I don't feel any pressure in my lower back at this point. It's all very comfortable. And I just keep pushing, and then at the end I can relax my head. And that's using the same power I can come out. The problem is if we don't use this, a common mistake might be using your head and your lower back in an inappropriate fashion. This is using actually no tension here. And immediately so much pressure starts to accumulate here that to try to do this is not very pleasant. It starts to hurt. If, on the other hand, I protect this, it spreads the energy away from the lower back, into the thighs, down to the floor, up into the chest, and even into the neck. That's just one example of how we use Mool Bandh to give support to a posture so that the heart center can expand and enjoy the space that these various asanas provide.